Hi, Yvonne here with DevWidgets, and today we are going to get started with our event microservice. Let's get into it. All right, so we talked about it last time where we're creating a microservice that will store events and it will have a few REST APIs to get those events, display those events, filter those events, etc. on either a mobile app or on a website, for example. So let's look at the architecture real quick. Let's make sure that we remember what we're doing. And then let's jot down a couple things that we're going to get done today by the end of this video. All right. Okay, so here's our microservice, right? And so we have, again, what I just mentioned. There's either your mobile app or there's a website that calls these the URLs. So event 123 specific, there's a number of events that you can query by their ID, or you can filter, let's say, give me all the events, or you can say, give me all the events that are greater than this date. And so that is going to be an API gateway. And again, we're building this all in Amazon if you didn't remember. And it's going to be all using serverless architecture. So it's going to be an API gateway. It's going to support this URL, and then it's going to send that request to AWS Lambda. And so now what AWS Lambda is going to do is it's going to run our code that we actually develop. That code that we develop is actually going to go to DynamoDB and get these events and return it. For today, what we're going to do is, again, we're going to take an iterative approach here. And today, all we are going to do is set up our infrastructure, set up our environment. What does that mean? So I use infrastructure as code. CloudFormation is something you should definitely learn more about. But basically with CloudFormation, you define exactly what you need. And so in this case, for our first iterative approach, it's literally going to create our Lambda. So we're going to create a Lambda. And this Lambda, it's going to return stub data. What does stub data mean? Basically, it's dummy data. It's not going to go to DynamoDB. It's not going to do anything complicated. It's really just going to return a string that we give it back to the UI. So it's going to return, excuse my spelling, return stubbed data. And then we are going to also have our API gateway configuration, so that we can actually call our Lambda. And we're going to use here, instead of defining each and every one of these URLs, I'm going to let it be flexible, and we're going to just do a greedy proxy. And anything, slash, etc. is going to automatically go to our Lambda. Our Lambda, in another episode, it'll go into more detail, and we'll be able to define what URLs we support and which ones we throw a 404 for that resource not found. All right. So let's get started. I'm going to open up IntelliJ and we are going to start developing. So we're going to create a new project in IntelliJ. We're going to choose Gradle, Java, and we're going to use Gradle, which is AWS's open source Java. So our project is going to be called Event MS. We're going to define our artifact coordinates here. It's going to be, because this is DevWidgets, of course, IO, DevWidgets. Obviously, you can call this whatever you want to call this, whatever your name is. And then we're going to set artifact ID. Artifact ID, it has to match name, so we really don't have to change anything here, so we finish. All right, so let's look at our project. We have a couple things that get created for us. I'm going to give Gradle a minute to finish running. So now that it's done running, we can look at Gradle Properties. We could see the version of Gradle. And this is actually not the latest one. So let me change it. 6.6.1. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? So our main, if we have Java folder created for us, this is where we're going to create our class. Then we have the test Java. That's where we're going to create our test resources. Build.Gradle, nothing interesting here. There's settings. I guess that's basically it. So let's start. Let's create our first class. Like I mentioned, we're going to create a Lambda that returns stub data. Let me create my package here. So again, IO DevWidgets, .events. API. So also I should say that this is a hexagonal architecture. So you see the API.lambda, you could have API.controller, API.etc. It's all your inputs to your class. So Lambda handler, we're going to implement, it's the request stream handler. Let me see, I have to add the dependency here. And you're just going to have to trust me. I have another window open with the browser. I'm copying literally from the documentation, and I am going to paste in two classes. It's the Lambda Java core. There's a bunch of stuff we can get there, but right now we're not going to use it. And the only one we really care about is the Lambda Java events. So let's wait that finish so we can double check, and you can see that's our classes and what it depends on. Nothing interesting. Okay, so I should be able to go back. Let me go back to my Lambda. Let's finish this. So it implements its request stream handler. No, I take that back. Again, I mentioned we're going to do the API gateway request and response. So that's the handler I'm going to use. I'm not going to use the stream handler. Give me a minute. I'm again on another screen looking at the documentation. AWS documentation, by the way, is great. You can find anything and everything. And I believe a lot of it is open source now. So if there's something in documentation that you see is wrong, I think you can submit a pull request. I've never done it personally, but yeah. So let's continue. All right, so we are creating an event. This is the object that we are going to stub. Let's not make this complicated, but again, we talked about this before. I can't type and talk at the same time. It's going to have a description and a date. So let me create this class. So it's going to be in my API folder and DTO. DTO means data transfer object. So anybody who talks to my microservice with the whole hexagonal architecture in mind, they come in through the API, and the type of classes or JSON objects that they can use are whatever is in my API/DTO or .DTO package. All right, so we talked about private. We have description, and we have date and time to be specific. I love shortcuts, so let me create all the getters and setters here. All right, that looks good. Let's go back to my Lambda, and let's just populate this with something. I don't know. The event is now. All right, that's great. I'll set a time. Can hard code this to. No, wait, I gotta use the parser. So let's do. Yeah, let's parse it. Okay. Yeah, this is the right one. So let's cheat. We can copy this. Let's not complicate our lives. Maybe I'll change the date because 2007 is a long time ago. 2027 sounds pretty cool. Hopefully life will be a lot different than 2020. All right, so we return that event. No, that's not what we need to return, right? We need to return an API gateway proxy. By the way, as I'm typing here, obviously I'm going pretty fast because I've done this a bunch of times. But feel free to pause this video and add what you need to add. And yeah, what do I need here? I think I just need with header and then with body. So let's create our header. We could fill this in later. Again, I'm the queen of shortcuts, so what did I just type? Shift Command V? Variable? I don't know. Okay, so let's put, so we're going to return JSON, right? So we need to set our content type to JSON. So application/JSON, and that's it. Maybe we'll get interesting here. Maybe we can add the path, because remember we said we're going to do a greedy proxy. So headers, put, what do we want to call it? X dash, I don't know, request path. Yay. And then we'll set our inputs. No, what am I doing? Input dot get path. All right, moving along. So headers, a response event, beautiful. So now our response event, we need to add our body. So set body, and then we need to, okay, so if you see event, set body, sorry, is toString. We're not going to do toString, right? Because if this is Java, then Java's going to return its like location and memory. That's not what we want. So we need, we can use Jackson to do that. And Jackson is, does it come as a dependency? No, we looked at dependency and it wasn't included before. Let me go find it. Okay, so we're going to do Jackson. Jackson can serialize and deserialize JSON objects. Again, we kind of want to focus on our product use case. We don't want to deal with reinventing the wheel. So we're going to let Jackson do this. So we have to do object mapper. What's going on? Hello? Object. I refreshed my Gradle, didn't I? Wonder why it didn't populate. Let's double check. Yeah, Jackson is there. No dependencies. Okay, let's try this again. I want to say that I do talk like this to myself when I am, oh, there we go. When I'm developing. I used to share an office with my husband. We both work from home. And that was very bad because he would constantly say, what? Huh? Okay. All right. So sorry. Let's focus. Object mapper. We want to take our Java objects event DTO and we want to write that to a string. Let's just catch our exception here. All right. So that's pretty much it. Why did I still have an error? What am I doing wrong? Oh wait, I'm not looking at the documentation here. What did I do? Oh, you know what? I just remembered something. So offset date and time, when you do serialization, deserialization with actually, I think any library, but maybe it's just Jackson, I don't know. It's gonna give you like the actual offset date and time Java object that has like a whole bunch of attributes. So I don't want that. And I copied this from Stack Overflow, as a good developer should. And, so it's let's disable write date as timestamps with all the nitty gritty detail. We're going to disable that, and then it's going to give us a clean string, and I'll show you this later. Okay, so return my response. What am I doing? Do I need to do that? Give me a second. Okay. All right, so event DTO, hard-coded. The event is now whoop-de-doo, but really it's in 2027. And we're going to return our response with this serialized Java object. We did that. Now I'm going to turn an error. So if this doesn't work, I'm going to return a 500 because, again, this is not going to happen, right? Because we have stub data. We're not doing anything complicated. But just for completeness sake. And then Okay, there you go. Everybody's happy now. Let's make this cleaner to read. All right, next. Yes, that looks good. We can delete that because we're returning something in our try and in our catch. Can't print a stack trace here because we've already returned. So I moved that up. All right, so this is pretty good. Technically not test-driven development, but anyways, so API proxy response, we're creating that. We set our header to JSON, we set the path, we created our stub data, we serialized it, and we handled the date and time. Lovely. There's really not much else to do. Again, like I said, this is stub data, and I think it's fine. All right, so the very next thing we're going to do is we are going to create our CloudFormation template. So this is where the magic happens. So template.yaml, I kind of like the way YAML looks. I can comment the heck out of it instead of like a JSON CloudFormation template. So let's start. I'm going to, you're going to trust me, I have the AWS documentation to the side. This is how they roughly, this is how you start a CloudFormation template, version number, etc. Globals. So we're going to use SAM, serverless. You see the transform up here. And so there's this global attribute that you can define, and it just has what all your functions are all going to default to a 20-second timeout. I'm just doing this for consistency's sake, and that's what the documentation had that I'm looking at. But again, we're only creating one function, so it technically doesn't matter. All right, so type, AWS, serverless, function, properties. So what are we going to define? So our code. I'm going to use the SAM CLI, so period, that means in the root directory. I'll show you it's going to create a hidden folder with that deployment. And so now let's put our handler. Our handler is basically the path to our Java class and then our function. So I can right click this here and I can do copy reference, copy. I think it copies reference automatically, right? Let's see. No, it doesn't. Let's go back. Copy, paste special. There we go. Copy as reference. Template.yaml. And then we do colon, and then our method name. So nothing interesting. That's pretty much it. Runtime, we said Java 11. That's the Gradle 11 that we saw. All right. Memory size 512. Function name. All right, now let's fix my spelling. Okay, tags. So it's good practice to tag your projects. So you can do cost analysis and say, okay, well, for me anyways, this video that I just did for the channel DevWidgets, the series called Serverless 101, and episode whatever, it is costing me so much and so on and so forth. Also, another nice part of using CloudFormation is that I can tear this down. And I always have this tear this down as in delete the CloudFormation template and the resources in AWS. And basically, I can run this CloudFormation template again if I want to spin it all up. All right, so let's output a couple things. Let's output our function details. I'm going to copy and paste this from their documentation because it's a lot to write. Actually, it's not that bad. Let's finish. So this is interesting for for the example, let's say I ran this and I want it to return my lambdas ARN because, I don't know, I want to call something on the CLI with it or something else. What else? I think I should do, well, Yeah, let's do the role. So when we use SAM, it automatically creates a role for us. So it's good to see what that role is in case I create this and I realize something's wrong. I need to change permissions or whatever. I can right away see what the role name is. I can play with it in the console, though technically you shouldn't touch stuff in the console. And you should keep using your CloudFormation template so things don't get confused. But anyways, I like to print this out just so that I know. So, yeah. The name is events function role. It takes your function name and just appends role to it. Right. So, I guess let me clean stuff up here. Let's make it look pretty. Event microservice. What else? I think that's it. Yeah, I'm happy. Got our dependencies, stubbed Lambda. We don't have a test. Alright, so technically not test-driven development. I'll probably, maybe, no, I don't know. Yeah, let's create the test. Okay, so JUnit 3, bad. We want JUnit 4. That's what we have in our dependencies. It's important to pay attention to that, because then if you mess that one up and then run it, it's a weird error that you get. I don't know why IntelliJ defaults to that. Okay, so we're basically just going to test our stubbed Lambda, which, again, because we know it's stubbed, it's probably not very interesting, but this kind of gives us good hygiene, good code coverage. You know, if we want to refactor, we change something and theoretically the test should still pass, or we change the test and then we change the code. All right, so then we create a Lambda handler equals new Lambda handler. Nothing interesting. Handler. Okay, so we got to create a request. What is our request going to have? We pretty much just have to add the path, right? I think that's the only thing interesting. Set path. So whatever, path to resource. If I can spell, I can't spell. All right. Then we call our handler, handle request, input, and what else do we need? We need, what do we need? Context. I can just mock it, right? Yeah, I have to mock it. Not gonna happen. Let's see, that's a lot of functions and it's pretty ugly and messy in our class and we're really not using anything here. So let me add Mockito as a dependency. Let's go to Maven. I gotta keep remembering we can't see my browser. So I'm getting that dependency, build.gradle, there we go. And so it's a test compile dependency. Well, test implementation. Why do they have test implementation? No, let's make them both the same. Test implementation, test implementation. Beautiful. Let's make it match. As you can tell, I'm a little obsessive compulsive. I know this works. I could have left it alone, but I want it to be clean and look the same. So JUnit 4.12, and we have test implementation. Okay, so that should get me what I want. Let's go back to our test. Let's mock our context. Can use annotation. I think I have to, well, let's do this. Context. Context. Nothing complicated. I think I need to do Mockito. How does it work? Run with something. Again, looking at my browser and my notes. Here we go. Run with Marquito. What's going on? There we go. All right, so I should be able to run this test now. It's gonna take my input. It's gonna return a response. Actually, we have no assertions. So let's assert that our response is not null. Very easy, very simple. Right? Anything else that I need? Okay. And then let's make another test. And so you know how we put the path? Let's assert the header information. Let's assert the actual stub data at this point. So let's start with the stub data. Serve response to get body. I need to deserialize it. So object mapper, once again. Object mapper. DTO. There we go. Save that. Why don't you like this? Okay. Event DTO. Okay, so now we can assert our equals, or let's do not null. So event DTO should not be null. We know it's not null, but let's make sure, because it could have been a 500 error. So once we assert not null, then let's assert the data. So let's get the description, and first we put expected. Sorry, I did that out of order. And let's just copy and paste this. Copy, paste. Woohoo. And then let's assert our date. Gonna do the same thing. Wait, sorry. There we go. I think that's basically it. Should I do the header now? No, let's test this. Uh-oh. As my son would say. Okay, what did I do? Date as not now. Reference train. No single string constructor. Factory method. Oh, I need read value. See, we're debugging live here. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so I need to do this business. Copy, paste. There's better ways to do this. Obviously, shared code. I could use a singleton object mapper that has all this code defined. Okay. Expected, actual. It's kind of annoying. Let's just change it for now. This is hard-coded, so, it's fine. Okay, everything passes. It's beautiful. Our date passes, our description passes. Do it one more time, make sure everybody's happy. And, yeah, we're good. And our template. So let's choose, I'm going to choose my credentials. So serverless episode, we can see CloudFormation. I don't have anything here. I've never run anything. This is a clean AWS account. And we are going to run this template. So right click. Again, I have SAM CLI configured, the plugin for IntelliJ. You can do this through the command line too if you feel more comfortable doing that. But basically this does, it creates our jar file, it deploys it, or it uploads it, and it also to S3, and it also runs our CloudFormation template. So let me create a bucket so that it could store this. What am I doing? Paste. Nope. All right, let's see. Hopefully I didn't create this yet. Yay. Okay, so let's deploy. See what happens. Oh no, we failed miserably. What happened? Let's make this bigger. During handling the above, another exception occurred. Property memory size not defined. What? Memory size is definitely one of them. Not defined for resource of type AWS Serverless function. Okay, let's go back to our template. I did something wrong. Oh, hey, my bad. Okay, let's try this one more time. Let's create a new stack, events, MS, and we are going to use that bucket, nothing else. Just use everything out of the box. Hopefully this time it works. Okay, waiting for change set to be created. We can watch this here. I have to say, I like this plugin for AWS Explorer Toolkit. It's nice to be able to see your CloudFormation template and logs and different things being created here. Okay, so remember I told you I did period for code URI. So here you see this hidden file. It created our package template. It uploaded our jar file. This is the path to it. What else is interesting? I think that's pretty much all it changed is code URI. All right, so we're logged in. We're going to go to Lambda. We're going to look at our pretty little Lambda that we just created. Event MS all by itself. Here we go. We can look at some details. Here are our tags. Created by Sam. Serverless 101 is the series. Channel DevWidgets episode number 1. There's the memory. So infrastructure as code, we created everything. Let's test it. Okay, so test. Does it work? Does it work? Oh, it's green. Look at that. Response 200. Headers. This is our custom header that we added. JSON. And the object is description. Event is now. Woohoo! Date is 2027. 12/03. And that's pretty much it. So that wasn't so bad. All right, so we did it. Let's look at our chart. Let's confirm that we did what we set out to do. And you know what? I just realized we did forget something. It will be in the next video, I promise you. All right, so CloudFormation template. We created a Lambda that returns stub data. We did not create API gateway configuration, but we're going to do that as part of our controllers. We didn't create any controllers, so this is kind of pointless. So this is going to be marked as to do. I probably should have put this like right front of my screen so that I wouldn't forget to do it, but of course I did. So anyways, this is development. It's an iterative process, but we did create our CloudFormation template. we did create our Lambda and we did return stub data. And in my book, I take that as a win. Congratulations if you've been following along thus far. You created your first Lambda. You use CloudFormation infrastructure as code that's repeatable. You can do it anywhere on any AWS environment and not have to worry about anything specific to that specific environment. And that's pretty much it. So thank you everyone for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed what we did. Please definitely like, subscribe, share. I'm going to try to do these next couple videos in rapid succession. So definitely subscribe so you can get an alert for the next one. Hopefully it can tie into like 100 days of cloud and you can, take these videos and go through the series with me. All right. Thank you very much. Happy coding. See you.